Merhaba. Hello, everyone. Are there any people who doesn't speak Turkish? Yes? Okay, so then I will continue in English. Hello, welcome to our session. It's great to see you all here today in Istanbul Fintech Week. So it was a great week with starting insightful sessions on the latest advancements in fintech and banking area. And it's mostly about the latest technologies and how they will impact the business. But one thing is for sure, engineering is the critical part here to make them happen, for the execution. And for today, we will talk about how we can accelerate our productivity in our engineering organizations. So we are in a stage that most of the banks and fintechs are innovating new ideas, trying to bring them to life, new products, new services with pace. But given this, we also see this. Currently, software developers can only spare 1/3 of their time to value-add coding. This means that other parts are going through the business-as-usual activities, mainly keeping the lights on. So they are doing code maintenance, they are trying to reach necessary information, they are reading documentation or onboarding a newcomer to the team. And these are not redundant activities. These are daily routines. So if we look at the productivity in software development and focus only on coding activities, we will overlook to the SDLC and we will miss some opportunities there. So, as we said, business agility and efficiency is critical today, and most of the leaders in technology acknowledge that engineering agility is key for business agility. But more than half of the organizations do not have engineering agility as of today. So it is clear why we need engineering excellence. For technology leaders, it's very intuitive, actually. But it's not only a thing for IT organizations. Business leaders should also be aware of the situation, and technology leaders should be able to explain and give the rationale behind this. And there are 3 key impact areas that technology leaders can explain this. The first impact area is regarding the talent retention. Second is on the time to market, especially in this highly competitive arena. And the third one is regarding the high throughput expectation, especially with the increasing engineering costs. Let me deep dive a bit. So currently, especially after the pandemic, workforce behavior completely changed. In software development, with the remote working situations, it's radically shifted. Which means that currently, especially junior to mid-level developers retain in a company aging 1.5 years. It's a great circulation, and there's a big know-how loss. And it's not only an HR operations that you try to acquire new talent. When you lose your top talent, it's cause a big capacity loss. You try to hire a new talent, you try to onboard them, and you try to make them self-sufficient and coding and try to make them efficient. It takes up to 4 months for a large enterprise. For more smaller organizations, even, it takes more than 2 months. So if we retain our top talent, we can get our capacity back. How we will use it, it's up to us, but we should get it back. Another aspect is the highly competitive environment here in financial services. So there is some windows that we need to launch new products and services. If we miss these windows, we will miss customer expectations, we will miss market share, and it will also impact our potential revenue targets. So by streamlining our delivery processes, we will be able to meet the satisfactions, and if we shift a single quarter back our time to market, it will have a great impact to our bottom line. And currently, the cost of engineering is skyrocketing, which brings another expectation to the table. Currently, executives have an expectation that engineering organizations should do more with less resources. So we also have a requirement on the throughput, and also providing engineering excellence and maximizing our delivery efficiency, we would be able to also increase our throughput with less frictions. So we come to a question from there. Okay, we have these impact areas, but we need proof points, data points. But can we measure productivity in software development? From the authors of the book Accelerate to big tech companies like Google or Microsoft, the answer is not directly. You cannot directly and efficiently measure productivity. The so-called productivity metrics are either velocity, quality, or operational metrics. But we see that what is measurable is waste and frictions in the delivery model. And there is lots of waste in the current delivery models in the organizations. And especially, this is what distinguishes the high-performing organizations from the low-effective ones. Especially when we analyze the low-effective organizations, we see that there are long-running onboarding processes with huge inefficiencies, granting access, have the ability to reach the necessary environments, find the necessary information, and be able to code takes too much time. There is too much also feedback loops, and these are very, very slow. A developer needs to get feedback for each activity. For coding, they need to have peer reviews, they need to get test approvals, they need to get deployment approvals. For each small activities, they have these feedback loops, but with inefficient processes, it took so many time. Also, cognitive load is an important point in our current technology organizations. Especially with the high attrition, there is too much cognitive load on the senior developers. They have onboard newcomers. They have other teams to get sufficient and how to use the APIs. But it will cause our talented resources to focus on other activities. One other point is the complex DevOps toolchain. Currently, developers are trying to address all the complexity with these too many tools that are currently in our delivery process, but they are struggling. It's not very intuitive, and it's not providing all the APIs and portals for a self-service environment. And finally, finding the necessary information. It's very, very hard for developers to achieve that. And ironically, In large enterprises, it's even harder. Even they have lots of documentations with enormous details. Some information is in the team's SharePoint, some information is in the project's workspace, some information resides in a Jira ticket itself. So it's very hard to find the information and continue to work. And according to a recent research from a company, DX, it's a developer experience platform, there is 22% of waste currently, and it is due to the inefficiencies in the delivery lifecycle. So if we remove these frictions, if we eliminate these inefficiencies, we will gain up to 22% of efficiency. And DORA also have a great framework for this. In an organizational perspective, they are classifying companies or technology organizations from low effectiveness to elite, based on 4 key metrics. And these are critical for an organization to see how they are executing right now and how they compare with others. But it's not enough for us to understand the effectiveness of our teams. It gives the high-level organizational performance, but we need to deep dive. We will come to this measurement topic. And yes, there's a framework to provide the efficiency. We call it engineering excellence in 5 key aspects. And we see that the first thing we should do is to provide a business IT aligned, frictionless delivery process. Then we move on to providing the developer experience by identifying the developer journeys through the developer experience metrics and provide them self-service onboarding and information hubs. Also, adopting platform engineering is very critical today, because providing simplified DevOps toolchains and platforms will directly reduce the cognitive load on the teams. And there are some productivity accelerators, from internal developer portals to AI-augmented development tools. With adopting these tools and embedding them inside our delivery processes, it will directly impact the efficiency of our delivery. But it also requires a cultural change. We need to upskill our talent. Our leadership should be aware of this mindset shift, and we should be able to take this initiative as a continuing approach. We insistently underline the term developer experience, because we see this as the key approach to tackle the inefficiencies in the delivery model. This approach starts with understanding the current engineering organization, touching the developers. So we start with creating a developer journey map, understand the journey of them, how they interact with the systems and other stakeholders. We understand the current feedback loops in the process, and we also understand the current cognitive overload. And finally, we come up with solid, measurable metrics, developer experience metrics. What impact the delivery? And combining all of them will directly give us where are the frictions and how we can eliminate them. I will give a quick navigation, so how we tackle this and how we improve developer experience with the clients that we are working. So we start first with identifying the personas. Software delivery model is multifaceted. So, yes, there are some common components in the process, but based on the skill, based on the technology used, based on the team, based on the seniority of a developer, it differs. So to tackle and understand the delivery process, we first need to understand what are the key personas there. And from the personas, we then move to the developer journey maps. And we use here value stream mapping technique, because the path to production is a value stream, and it is the most critical value stream of a technology organization. And from all the key stages of a software delivery lifecycle, we identify all the activities, the key stakeholders involved, which tools are used, and how we can measure them, by which metrics. And for the measurement, we actually adopt both quantitative and qualitative metrics approach. In the quantitative metrics, we use the SPACE framework enriched by cognitive load assessment. This gives us a great detail regarding all the differences among teams, gathering all the data from our development tools, from source code tools to DevOps tool chain. So we get data, aggregate them, and try to find insight from them. But we also use qualitative metrics by publishing surveys and by executing focus groups. We advocate using surveys because it is the easiest way to touch the developers and understand their perspective. Also, one important thing is that even the leading organizations cannot measure the quantitative ones at day one, because they do not have these data points integrated and aggregated. Even some points, they do not have these data points ready because of the misconfigurations of the current tools. So it's better to start with identifying and measuring the qualitative ones. It will give us the high-level understanding where are the key points that have the main inefficiencies, and then try to measure the quantitative ones, which give us more depth. So we can differentiate the teams. We can see all the details in the pipelines and processes. But what is important while measuring is not go to the easy way. It's easy to measure what you have already. Also, the ticketing tools like Jira provides reports and metrics. They are there. But the important thing is to measure where value resides. The important thing is to identify the critical feedback loops that impact the development process, and based on that, measure these critical parts. And finally, we go to the friction mapping. Here, on top of the developer journey maps, using all the metrics and benchmarking them with the leading organizations in the industry, we identify the frictions, and we come up with initiatives with targeted key results. If we are lagging in the onboarding process, and if it takes around 4 months, okay, we create a self-service onboarding initiative, but it should have an aim. And the aim should be measurable. By bringing this initiative into life, we should be able to decrease our onboarding duration to 1 month. And we talked about the productivity accelerators, and 2 of them distinguish us right now. The first one is internal developer portals, which gained a big traction, especially in the latest 2 to 3 years. with the launch of Spotify's open source framework, Backstage. And we see that most of the leading banks today, also in Turkey, adopting this internal developer portals. It's an integrated hub, a homepage for our engineers, where they can find all the information, where they can reach all the service catalogs and try to access all the environments and tools. And the second accelerator, of course, is the use of generative AI in software development. I know everyone is excited about this, and it's a very hot topic right now in the industry. Gartner predicts that in 4 years, 75% of all developers will be using generative AI assistants during coding. And when we look at the markets, especially banks currently in Turkey, we see that it could be sooner because most of them are started working with AI-augmented tools, trying to give a chance to using Copilot in the development organization, trying to building their trained models to use additional use cases. So we also try to identify the key use cases in the software development lifecycle where Gen AI can put the utmost impact. We see 3 points there. The first one is accessing the knowledge, which is one of the key pain points in the large-scale organizations. There are too many documentations scattered among different workspaces, and developers struggle to find them, try to find the correct information. So by a simple prompting, it will save too many time from them and increase the efficiency. The second important point is coding. It's already started with Copilot, but it will be taking traction, especially in the upcoming periods. We will be able to train the models with the whole source code, so all the source base, code base, and then we will be able to get self-healing recommendations. We will be able to get the design patterns recommendations. We will be able to get recommendations for better modularity. And the third thing it will impact is testing. Right now it started with unit testing, but when we will be able to train these models with the whole code base, we will be able to also automate all our functional tests end-to-end, create their scripts with Gen AI automation. The final point I want to mention today is the cultural change of engineering excellence. So I don't know if you have read the book Atomic Habits, but it gives the cultural change path with great examples. So if you want to build an habit and you have high ambitions, when you work daily, weekly, and see no results, no impacts, you will have the feeling of a disappointment, and you break it. And all the efforts will be gone, will work for nothing. But if you disintegrate it and create small parts, atoms, with a daily progress, with a weekly progress, you will be able to reach that progress. And it will encourage you to keep on and try to not give up, not break the cycle. All cultural changes is like that. It's also relevant for developer experience and engineering excellence. We try to identify all the frictions in the model, and then we try to bring some initiatives into life. There are some low-hanging fruits, yes. So we go after them first, we get the quick win. Then we start some initiatives, but if we don't keep the pace, if we break the cycle, then we will see no impact. But if we put atomic targets, keep the progress, then one day it will be like a click, but that click will not be a single activity. It will be the results of a period of time, a complete effort that you put during that period. And while completing this session, I want everyone to leave with 3 key takeaways. The first one, if we want to embrace engineering excellence in our technology organizations, we should understand what are the processes and tools that should be changed. And for a starting point, developer journey maps are very useful to understand the frictions and to bring accelerators into life. The second point is that you will need data points to prove it. And using both qualitative and quantitative metrics are important, but the most important thing is measuring where value resides. And finally, the cultural impact is critical. So most of the big technology companies in the world are creating teams for that, dedicated teams, in the name of developer experience, in the name of developer advocate, in the name of platform engineering. But they pursue the continuity and the cultural shift with a strong leadership that is backing this up. If we do not put it to life with a continuity manner, in some point we will break the cycle, so we will not see any impact. Thank you all for today's session. I will be around today, so if you want to talk about this topic, it will be glad for me. Thank you.